And it all comes down to the Varsity 8 Grand Final, the last race of our 2022 NCAA Championships from Nathan Benderson Park. And we're going to bring you the action all the way down this race course. Team title on the line and all national championship in this boat class. Here they come, 6 boats across, tons of firepower. Stories that we could talk about for hours coming into this one. Here we go.
We have in the center lanes there with Stanford, Texas, and Washington. This is a rematch from last year, the 2021 first, second, and third places in this event. Also, the tiebreaker in the event of a tie comes down to this event. But of course, first, who's going to take this particular event off the line to be anticipated? As we've seen, the cream has risen to the top here, and so very little separates these crews off the get-go because it is just the first 230, 40 meters of this race at this point. And from the start, over the weekend so far, we've seen Texas start a little bit slow off the line, but they have changed that. They have righted the ship here, so to speak. They got themselves out there first in lane 4, got off the line the fastest, but absolutely it is Princeton on the far side who does have a slightly higher stroke rate that they are used to using as their base rhythm that is allowing them to surge up. And as soon as I say Princeton is surging, we also have Stanford lengthening out to their base rhythm, putting obvious pressure on Texas. But if you look at the body language of the athletes in lane 4, in that current leader Texas crew, they seem very calm right now. Stanford looks to be a little bit more aggressive in what they're doing. If you look at the black unisuits they're wearing, the white boat that they're in, their bodies are moving a little bit more emotionally. There is a lot on the line here. Not just a national championship, but the best race of your life. What can you lay down today? When the pressure's on with this many fast crews, gosh, a lot of these athletes have raced for their respective national teams across the world. But when you get in a boat with your collegiate team, dial into one another. How fast can you go together, represent yourself, represent your team, have the best race of your season and of your life so far?
This Texas Varsity 8, 60-0 this year. They have half a length advantage on second place Stanford. Stanford with a deck on Princeton. Princeton is holding off the rest of the crews that are really so bunched up. It's hard to even figure out where Brown, Washington, and California stand relative to one another. Right in front of us, Cal may have a seat on Washington. As we come through 750, it is a half a length lead for the Longhorns. They're trying to win another national championship, not only in this boat category, but also as a team. I think they're trying to turn the Texas two-step into the Texas two-peat. We'll see if they can do it. They did it through 850 meters. They look controlled. We'll see what happens. The team that is really giving them a fit here is Stanford in the adjacent lane 3. Stanford's bow ball right on about the 6th woman in the Texas boat. So that's the advantage that Texas has to try to win this national championship as they approach the halfway point. Still sitting in 3rd place. Really, really hard to tell between Princeton on the far side, California, and Washington. Cal is slightly ahead of Washington at this point, and maybe slightly ahead of Princeton as they come through the halfway point. But it's Texas right now, and they just continue to kind of actually pull away.
It's a Big 12, Pac-12 duel there in the center lanes with Stanford and Texas. You have 2 out of the Ivy League vying for spots over there, Brown and Princeton on the far side. Will their battle over in the far lanes push into Stanford, again putting pressure onto Texas? And then on the inside lanes with Washington and California seeing each other throughout the season, will they be able to use that confidence, that race, to push up into Stanford and Texas's lead? But for as much as Stanford was trying to take away from Texas's lead and use a little bit of emotion early, a little bit of early gusto to help get a little more pep behind their oars, Texas has really stayed incredibly calm and methodical. Even though there is pressure on them by the trailing crews, they aren't letting it get to them. Now, with that emotion that Stanford threw out early, it may give Princeton just enough of an edge that Princeton coxswain would hopefully be looking at Stanford and saying, hey, I want them in 200 meters so that we have a chance at taking this thing. We are on this outside, but we came into this race ranked number 2 in the country in this event. We can turn it on, turn on the afterburners. The question is, will Texas turn on theirs? Because we've seen them have them.
It's Texas. They're trying to break the overlap. I'm watching Rachel Rain look to her left. She sees a bow ball from Stanford. She says, I don't want to see it anymore. They're moving away from Stanford. What are we going to see in the last 500 meters of the Varsity 8 final here at the 2022 NCAA Championships. This is going to be a Texas repeat. They have maybe a seat of open water. Stanford is pushing. They are trying, but they just can't seem to latch on to Texas. Stanford with a 3/4 length advantage. It's going to come right down to the tape for the bronze medal. You've got Princeton, you've got California, and you've got Washington that are separated by probably about 15 total feet as we pass it to you, Adrian.
Stanford is pushing because they feel the pressure by Princeton. They may have sprinted a little bit early trying to get back into that Texas lead, but Texas is still in command.
The Longhorns way out in front here. The connection between this crew is palpable. What do you say to a crew that has not lost a race? What do you say? It is not just eyes on the prize, it is eyes on the process. Every single stroke, one stroke at a time, but every single stroke as fast as possible. And that's exactly what is happening here as Texas comes to the line. It could be a repeat for them. There is that new sheriff in town because that could be the national championship team overall. It's going to come down to points here. We are all over the map with the points. But Texas, dominant, well out in front, open water for them. Just unbelievable here as we come to the line. Stanford in that second place position. Again, points. Princeton right there. Princeton in California. Washington taking up that stroke rate. Can they possibly move into that third place position? It is the Longhorns for the win. The Cardinal taking that second place position. Princeton holding on to the bronze. California, then Washington. Brown coming into that sixth place position. What a race.